Hello and welcome back to Generic Sports Podcast. Today we're going to do our Week 12 of the NFL in review.
Sadness, Week 12.
Right? I totally said that in the wrong order, but we'll keep it. We'll go. Today, I'm your host, Josh the Goose.
And I'm John. Hopefully you guys know us by now.
Right? But if you don't, now you do. So I'm sorry. This feels like a terrible hosting job right now by me because but we're gonna go with it because I'm just too excited to talk to host about. I want to talk about the games because first we had so many games on Thursday because of Thanksgiving. Hopefully you all had a happy Thanksgiving. I enjoyed the food. It was great. I made this cheesecake mousse that the family could not get enough of. So I was very happy about that. And we did air fried green beans, which were delicious.
And I made my cranberry sauce that I've been making for at least 5-6 years. I've lost track of how many years I've been making it, and it's always
at least 2019. So
yeah, it's at least been it's come out better and better each year. So
well, like I said, we hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. Let us know what you guys had, what your favorite part of Thanksgiving was, besides the football, because I'll admit the games were pretty lopsided on all of them. But I really enjoyed that first one, the Packers versus the Lions. It's just like watching. I'm like, they scored, they scored, and the Lions turned it over, and then the Packers scored again.
Yeah, that was, I guess, the moon's fault for the Lions because
waxing gibbous or something like that.
They have not won on Thanksgiving during a waxing gibbous.
It's just Thanksgiving? I didn't know if it was like all the time. It's just Thanksgiving games.
Thanksgiving games on a waxing gibbous.
Wow. Okay. Well, we gotta look out for that from now on because
the Lions are like going to boycott if it's a waxing gibbous.
You can't boycott. You're a tradition. Honestly, if I'm just them, I'm just gonna be like doing some kind of like superstitious, like throw the salt or whatever, something, break the curses,
exorcists. Some shit.
Yeah. I'm sure the Vegas and the gambling, all the gambling sites and stuff are going to be like looking at that stuff now if they haven't already. But that being said, I really enjoyed how Green Bay played. They're back in the playoff hunt, like I hope they were going to be. I know they had some shaky first half of the season stuff, but they're getting better. Jordan Love's coming together, and the defense is played pretty well. Honestly, I just want to say I forget which player came back from injury because I think he tore something last year. I forget if that was Rashawn Gary or not. I might be mistaken.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But I know that was one of the big things I saw. But I want to give the my honk of approval to Rashawn Gary because he got 3 sacks. He played great. Like he was all over the place. It felt like they just felt like they were calling out his name, and like he was fun to watch. So
there was a lot of fun to watch on during that game.
And it actually was Rashawn Gary who that I was right about. He tore his ACL against the Lions. I think it was at the Lions during week 9 or something. So it wasn't and was able to come back and play a great game against them. At least I think it was in the same field because they made a big deal about like coming back to Detroit and playing. So since they always play every year, good for him. So he definitely gets my honk of approval, or at least one of them. I don't know if I'll do any more, but we shall see.
A goose that honks once.
Right. So that was the first game. The rest of the games were like,
well, the middle game was a blowout.
Cowboys took care of business. Deron Bland broke the record. Like that was the biggest thing.
You mean Deron Spicy?
Yes.
Or
so Deron Flavorful. Either way, he is anything but bland this season. So
Deron, bring you to Flavortown.
We love you, guy. But yeah, no, the Cowboys look great. So
And the 49ers took care of their rival as well.
yeah, that was at least a little bit closer than that middle game, but still not by much. 49ers, came in, smacked around Seahawks like they did. Pretty much like they had their way with the Seahawks. Cowboys had their way with the Commanders. It was what it was.
That it was.
Good games. 49ers won 31-13. The Cowboys won 45-10. Still the most enjoyable game for me that day was the Packers versus the Lions, 29-22. And that really leads us into our first Black Friday game of ever. So, will there be more Black Friday games? Maybe. Should the Dolphins be the tradition? Yeah, I think they should be the tradition. They smoked the Jets, which obviously was not supposed to be the Tua versus Tim Boyle game, but it is what it is. That is what happened. I don't know how Tim Boyle has a job, first of all, in the NFL. I mean, I still think like somebody like Brandon Wheaton, some people from the XFL and the USFL could be better quarterbacks. Like, I know Broncos have Ben DiNucci on their practice squad. I think he'd be better than Tim Boyle. But other than that,
I think I heard people call him great value, Zach Wilson.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts Zach Wilson. That hurts. I think that hurts me because Walmart owns. I mean, the Waltons own my team, so like I don't want that associated with anything Walmart right now. None of that on Tim. None of the great value Zach Wilson.
Dollar store Zach Wilson.
That is better. 99-cent store, something like that. That's better because like I don't want anything associated with Zach Wilson or Tim Boyle. But
I think Zach Wilson might have had a better shot against us.
I personally think it should have been Trevor Siemian. I don't know why Tim Boyle starting next week.
Tim Boyle has blackmail on people? I don't know.
It's probably Aaron Rodgers' call. We'll get more into that. I think we'll get into that another time. But I just want to say that the Dolphins really. I hope that this keeps. I'd like to see that be a tradition because the Dolphins they had a few memorable games on Thanksgiving. Like they could have been a team that always plays on Thanksgiving too, with like the Leon Lett game. So like let them have Black Friday. Like I'd like to see that. Now if you now as far as the game goes, if you want to go,
I wouldn't mind as long as the Black Friday games continue. We don't know if they will, depending on how well the viewership did.
I'm sure it did well. Like there were people who would just want to watch football on the Friday.
I'm sure they would want to go to Black Friday, go to the game.
Who knows? Maybe they'll do two.
One
on the West Coast.
So the Dolphins, like it was in the beginning. So it was close in the beginning, and like we need to stop throwing pick sixes because I know we've had too many. I think we've had one less pick six than Deron Bland is. Yeah, so we have, I think, one less pick six this year than Deron threw for one less, or Tua and Mike White together have thrown for, the Dolphins have thrown for one less pick six than Deron Bland has made this year, so not a good stat. Granted, at least it only affected us in one, it only negatively hurt us in one game, but still. But at least to make up for the pick six, we countered with it would now be called the Hail Mary.
I mean, it's the one thing that you absolutely do not want to do on a first half Hail Mary. Is exactly what happened to the Jets.
Right, Javon Holland really wanted that one. I was hoping he was going to make it with the time that was running out.
It was really close that he almost got tackled.
Right, he fought for it, and that was one of the most spectacular plays of the game. And like everyone else did pretty good. The defense continues to be like really good. That was the first time in the last few weeks that a team actually scored on us in the second half. They only scored, but like it was close in the beginning, and then we just blew them out like 34-13. And Tyree continues to be good. We just need to stop shooting ourselves in the foot with these mistakes and turnovers. Like, I know the defense can help us out, but we don't need to put them in those situations. Like we would be hurting teams so much more if we got these turnovers and didn't have turnovers. Like if the Hail Mary happened and we didn't get a pick six beforehand, like that could have been like 20. That could have been like in the 20s instead of 17.
Yeah, I mean, you won 34-13, but you could have won 34-6.
Yeah. Yeah, it could have been something. It could have been, we should be scoring higher and should have less turnovers, especially like close in the red zone, because I know there's been a lot of red zone turnovers with interceptions. And I mean, I know one of the fumbles like was at the very end when we were at Darrington Evans and was a bad handoff, and then Raheem Mostert came back in afterwards. So like we're just going to make sure we're not going to make any mistakes at the end there. But
right, I was gonna say both. Tyreek had a good game.
Yeah,
Jalen Waddle had a really good game, even though he didn't get a touchdown. He had 8 receptions for 114. That was one of his best games this season.
Yeah, they both had. Jalen had 8 receptions. Tyreek had 9. They both had over 100 yards. They're like one of the best wide receiving duos in the league, and they need to get Jalen in there more, because we have not had enough Waddle touchdown dances.
Right. Only bad thing is like Tua really didn't have his greatest game, but hopefully he can work on that and get better so he has more touchdowns, less interceptions. So
right, I mean,
but it is the Jets defense. Like that's like one of the best defenses. So you can't.
I mean, on the bright side, we did have 2 rushing touchdowns by Raheem Mostert. So quarterback stats are going to be skewed when the running backs work.
Mm-hmm. I know that. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you have a run game, you don't need to throw for 200 yards, and it's still okay.
And you can throw for 200 yards and have over 100 and have over like 150 yards rushing to get a total from the whole team, and still be fine.
Mm-hmm. Anything else we want to talk about with this game?
I don't know what the Jets are going to do, and I'm just hoping the Dolphins can keep this momentum going through the next few weeks and keep beating the teams they beat.
We're hoping to have another podcast out maybe Friday or Saturday. But we'll talk about it more then. But like the Jets, Aaron Rodgers is off, is in the 21-day practice window after getting off IR. So it's going to be amazing if he actually plays. We'll see.
It'll be amazing if he can play, do well, and not get hurt again.
Right, especially on that field behind that O-line. We'll talk about it a little bit more in depth, because we want to go over. We would like to do a true discussion of topics for a podcast. So I want to save that, in depth for that. So anything else?
I believe I'm good. Just need to stop making the mistakes. And I know some of the players mentioned that they played poorly and will play better. And watch hard. And I need to watch the new episode of Hard Knocks. But it's really fun with the Dolphins on that.
All right. So moving on. All right, we'll go through a quick one here. Giants won 10-7 over the Patriots.
Going as well as you'd think that game would have gone.
Right, Patriots missed the final field goal to tie up the game and send it to overtime, but they missed. Tommy DeVito got another win, two in a row.
Yeah. So
good for him. We'll talk more about the Patriots. Like I said, is this the end for Mac Jones? This is the end for Bill Belichick. We'll discuss that more another time. Another game to talk about. Colts Buccaneers. Not much to really say here. Like, I've had some highlights. Colts are on like I think a 3-game win streak or something like that. Good for them. Mm-hmm. The Gardner Minshew probably could get traded next season if they wanted to have him. If somebody wanted him as a starter, I think he's. There's 32 teams. I think that he's either a very capable backup or a low end starting quarterback. I think he's in the late 20s, but he doesn't have. If you look at his numbers, he just doesn't have the wins, and that depends on if you count quarterback wins as a stat. And I don't really think so, because it's team wins. Mm-hmm. Like quarterback can't do everything. So I mean, some quarterbacks you can see that there's potential, like Justin Fields, but not getting the job done because sometimes it is him. It's like it's a double-edged sword. There's very what's that in the gray, something with gray. It's like very it's not black and white. There's a lot of shades shades of gray. That's probably the best way I can describe it. Same thing with Baker Mayfield. Like, it's definitely the defense not helping. I know there's injuries, but like Baker, he's got some good stats. Like, he's just not getting the win. So like, I hope Baker stays and I hope that he can play there again next season. But I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I think he's proven that on most of the time it's not him. And honestly, I feel like the Browns could use him this season.
The Browns would take Baker back if they could, legitimately, right now. Like,
I think so.
But I feel like the NFC South, like, and we'll get to the with some of the other games, but I feel like they're all better than they have higher potential than they're showing right now.
Yeah, but I think that's really comes down to, when I look at it, like, coaching. I think it's coaching.
And how many teams are saying, or like fans are wanting them to fire their head coach?
Mm-hmm. But honestly, Colts, there's something going on there. It's Shane Steichen?
Yeah, that's good coaching if you're on your backup quarterback and still winning games,
right? So, but I mean, Gardner's not I don't feel like Gardner Minshew is a backup Like, I know I said like he is backup quality, but I think he is more of a starting potential. Like, when you really look at what he can do.
Yeah, well, he just needs the right opportunity, and hopefully, and he might get a starting opportunity after this season.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens in the offseason. Steelers beat the Bengals. The Steelers just fired Matt Canada, and their offense looks good. I mean, they got 400 yards total offense, but Kenny Pickett, I don't think he threw for a touchdown.
No,
but they at least looked more lively, except for Deontay Johnson, who just kind of gave up on that play. He didn't care. He was like, "Oh, it's a run. I don't have to do anything." He didn't even try and block, and then he was like, and then when the ball got fumbled and went back for the Bengals, like, he just did not care. Like, that's probably like that has to be the worst awareness, like, worst play I have ever seen this season, maybe ever. Like, that's like
I don't know about ever, because I remember that I don't remember exactly, but I remember people just not trying. Or he's not alone. So,
but it's definitely got to be one of the word, like, that feels like the awareness level of like Leon Lett, like, why he went for that. I don't get that. Like, it's just like it's the awareness that.
Well, I mean, based on the angle, if he didn't see the fumble, I get it. But if the guy's running, maybe do something.
Well, it was more about how he started the play. I get it. Like, it's behind his back, so he's not. But when the guy's running by you and you're just not doing anything, like, afterwards, like, you're not like, expletive, and not running out there, like, kind of.
I mean, I don't know if he thought he heard a whistle or thought the play was dead. Giving him the benefit of the doubt, but still, like, maybe try to catch him. If the receivers can't run and catch them, then you really have if the fastest players on your team can't catch him, you don't really have a shot.
I think he's one of the fastest players on the team. That's part of the problem. Anyways, I feel bad that the Bengals, their season's pretty, like, with Joe Burrow being out there, I don't think they're gonna win anymore. I don't think they're gonna win a lot of games left. They're not gonna make the playoffs. And I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know if the Browns are gonna make it either. But we'll talk about them more later.
Well, it depends on if Jake Browning wakes up or gets a grasp of the game, because
he's getting this was his first start. Like, he's got something.
I mean,
in him.
It's his second start, but
okay.
He started the first game of the season, I think.
I thought it was still Joe Burrow.
They said this wasn't his first start, Jake Browning. So
maybe not this season.
So yeah, this was Jake Browning's first start, and I just listened to the media, and they talk and say stuff like in the sports media that made me believe it was that he started beforehand. He did play in the first game, but he had one throw or something. But I thought he started earlier. Maybe they were talking about preseason, but the media just get their facts messed up and makes me mess my facts up.
Oh yeah, no. I as much as I love watching the sports stuff and all. I know there's times where I'm like that's not true, and they say it, but it's like, I mean, that's why they got earpieces with the producers,
they have
and the fact check people.
Yeah,
they'll probably be like, oh yeah, we have to go check it up on the fly.
Yeah. But still, I mean, no one thought Tommy DeVito was going to get 2 wins this season. So, and I think this is Jake Browning's rookie season. So
it could be. This was his first start. Tommy DeVito didn't win his first start. So
yeah, I know it took him a few games to get it. So to say that they're out of it is, I don't think is true, because they still have the talent. Joe Burrow definitely elevated it. Definitely elevated them and made them like pretty unstoppable when he was playing well. But I think they are still capable.
I would say out of it, and when I say out of it, I mean out of the playoffs. Could they end up with some kind of winning record? Yes, but I don't think they have. I don't think without Joe Burrow they could get back past the Colts, the Texans, the Bills, or the Broncos to get that one of those final playoff spots or final 2 playoff spots. I'm not quite convinced on Cleveland because of the quarterback issues as well. So
I don't think Cincinnati is going to get there, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. It's just maybe a 30% chance. And
I feel like that's too high with like 5 other teams.
Actually, I think they actually have like the mathematical stats for each team.
Actually, you did mention something like Tommy DeVito. I think was the first like undrafted rookie to beat a Bill Belichick team as well. So I will say Jamar Chase definitely made some great catches, and the team fought, and they were playing. So I will give them all of that credit, but I just don't know if they've got enough to completely overcome it. While you go look up that, we can come back to it. I'm just gonna go breeze by some of these other games, like at least the Titans and the Panthers.
I just found found that I am mathematically I am insanely too generous.
Yeah, let me guess, like 9%.
You are mathematically generous too.
So what? 4?
That is still generous.
1?
That's too low. It's 2.5% chance of the Bengals making it.
Oh, okay.
So some teams have less than 1% chance of making it.
So what are the Browns at right now?
Browns, statistically, I don't. Let's see if we have the Browns are at an 87.4% chance.
Wow, that's pretty high. What about the Broncos, Texans, and Bills?
This was late. This was from last.
Oh, okay. Then we won't worry about it, because I know some of those teams
won
won and lost. So
I'm sure the Bengals are probably even lower than 2.5% if they were 2.5% last week.
Right. So let's move on. Titans beat the Panthers. It was 17-10. Seems a lot closer. I'm glad Will Levis is getting play time. I hope they can give him more to build on. I think he's the quarterback of their future, at least the next year's future.
You know, it would have been helpful if they didn't give up AJ Brown.
Well, yeah. Panthers, they fired Frank Reich. I don't know if he was the problem. He looks like he was hella stressed. Like if you look at pictures from him over the course of the last year.
Yeah. I think I don't know if Frank Reich was the problem, but you know the team wasn't succeeding. So I mean, only 1 win. I feel like they had it out of 11 games like they played. They had to do something.
The Panthers will get better. It's just going to be hard without any draft capital. Traded DJ Moore like they did.
They shouldn't have traded CMC and DJ Moore. If they probably would have ended up with like Will Levis or something, and would have been better off with Will Levis and CMC and DJ Moore than ending up with Bryce Young. And I mean, Miles Sanders apparently was a system running back in Philadelphia.
Chuba Hubbard is doing fine for them, and
I think Miles Sanders is also having injury issues, but
probably
might be why they had 3 running backs in Philly.
Honestly, when I really think about it, we know David Tepper's the problem. Mm-hmm. He doesn't like losing. He came from the whole Pittsburgh Steelers. Like he had some ownership in there and had to sell it off. So he's trying to run it like that. And the problem is there's a culture ingrained in there for so many decades that it just doesn't instantly happen.
Yeah, he's impatient and with what he does. Like they said, he was like impatient with what he does. And like Steve Ross, when he took over the Dolphins, there were years. It took him years to figure this stuff out. I mean,
oh yeah.
Like you know, he had Jeff Ireland, who like has his guy and like the general manager, and there were just so many issues. You could tell, like from fans, that we had so many issues going forward that but now he finally has like the right team in place. But I forget when he took over, but I know at least it was like 2008 or sometime around after the losing season, and it's taken him years to finally understand how this goes.
Right. We really should talk more in depth about this at a later time.
Yeah.
But because there's a lot we could talk about with the Panthers and how to fix them. But honestly, it comes down to, I think it's time to find a new GM and a new head coach. And it might even be crazy. Maybe bring in that Bill Belichick. Maybe them trading for him or something.
I don't know if Belichick's going to make things better. I think they need someone who will take, like Mike McDaniel did with Tua, to help harness what makes Bryce Young great from college and bring that out in the NFL. I really feel they need like Eric Bieniemy or someone like that.
I think Eric Bieniemy is going to be the head coach of the Washington Commanders by the by the time we're all said and done with the season.
Probably, but there's also but they also might get get Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator of the Texans, that's making CJ Stroud look good. If he's why Stroud's succeeding, get him.
Definitely could be. There's a lot to work on. And I don't think there is just one answer right now. So
it's going to take multiple pieces to fix the Panthers, both talent and coaching.
Well, yeah, but I don't think I don't think getting a new. I think it's a different situation. I think you need a Sean Payton and somebody who was established and had somewhat of a winning record. I mean, part of me wants to say Jim Schwartz, but I don't think he'd want a second chance like this, or Steve Spagnuolo. I do think there are. I can't think of anybody at the moment.
I don't. I think there would be other teams that would take him, but Jim Harbaugh, I don't think he'd go to Carolina. But
that could be really good. Like Jim Harbaugh would be, yeah.
I mean, if he just brings, if Tepper brings him dump trucks of money, then sure he'll join.
Didn't Tepper go to Washington? I mean, Michigan, isn't he? I forget. Not one of the owners. No, it was that was Steve Ross. I mean, I don't know about Tepper. He might have. But anyways, I think we spent too much time on losing
how to
teams.
Fix the Carolina Panthers. We will talk later. Not really, because we've basically said all we needed to say about it. Moving on.
Right. Well, this was a good game. The Jaguars and the Texans. There were a lot of plays, maybe some bad ref calls, and a kick that if they got one more yard.
Well, this is why kicking is important, and it sucks when you're on a backup kicker and not your main kicker, because Kyrie Fairbairn would have made that kick.
Oh yeah.
But good on the Jaguars, and it was a good effort by the Texans. I think Texans will still make the playoffs, but they do have a difficult road ahead, at least next week. But I know like the division looks like the Jaguars, but it's not out of the realm for the Texans. But the Texans definitely seem like a playoff team. I think they'll definitely be a wild card team.
We shall see. This matchup I think is for the one of those playoff spots. Broncos and Texans might both get in, but it's a big game.
Yep.
The Jaguars, I'm hoping we start seeing a little more out of Trevor Lawrence. Like, he's playing good, but he's not, I feel like he could be playing great.
I don't know. I mean, he needs to show off less interceptions, but that was pretty great yard-wise.
Yeah. Well, honestly, maybe, I don't know who the offensive coordinator is. Maybe Frank Reich will go to Jacksonville.
Right. Then.
I mean, if that combination could get something out of Carson Wentz, I think there's something to be had to see what you can get. I want to see the best Trevor Lawrence. So
and if he can get 364 yards a game, in more games, yeah. But,
yeah.
I think they'll be dangerous in the playoffs. Honestly,
they definitely have a chance to be. I think this was the final. I think the final morning game was the Falcons versus the Saints, and man, did the Saints look ugly.
Right. Well, it does not help when you lose your top two receivers. You already had Michael Thomas out, and then Rashid Shaheed goes out, and then Chris Olave gets a concussion. Who are you supposed? You have your tight ends left, and that is it. I mean, I think they're all like rookies or stuff for the receivers, except
for Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams, and and Taysom Hill.
Right, so you had enough stuff there, but
anyways, the Falcons at least used Bijan Robinson. They were like, if they could just do that for the next few games and actually have a winning record going into the playoffs, they might be dangerous, but they actually have to look like this the rest of the season.
Well, they get the bright side of, I don't know if they need a winning record to get into the playoffs, but they could still be dangerous if they play correctly.
Not if they're playing Dallas.
Right.
Or the Eagles. If Dallas magically, like, I'm like, if they keep playing the way they're playing without any kind of consistency, no, they don't have a chance. Like, I'm gonna pick the Eagles or the Cowboys.
Right, like better than, I think they mentioned on like First Things First or something, it was like better than a bye, and whoever gets the 4 seed, whoever's the 15 in the wild card, seems like better than a bye, and especially if it's Dallas. Dallas will freaking destroy the South,
right? Especially how well they play against like losing teams. They're at this rate, they're going to be a losing team going into the playoffs. That also needs to be fixed. It might get fixed if there's a third year. If this happens again next season, there's going to be some discussions. I'm sure there's going to be discussions this season.
Right? Like,
I think you should deserve a playoff spot, but I don't think that guarantees you a home playoff game. The Cowboys should have a home playoff game because they have one of the 4 best records, and I think the Cowboys should deserve the playoff spot. I think that you can have a conference, you can have a division champion, but if the 7th wild card, if the 7th team in the playoff is the wild card spot, and they have a better record than you should be at the bottom. They should move up to 6, 6 should move up to 5, 5 should move up to 4, and that's exactly how you do it. I think that's the most fair way of competition.
It should. I'm just like wondering, well, what if the 8th seed has a better record than the division champion? I'm like, it's like, do you like should the division even get a representative if they're playing that badly?
You might have a point. They could be a division champion, but you don't make the playoffs.
I think you need like a win. There needs to be like I don't know if you need like a winning record, but you maybe like a minimum 7 wins.
I don't know. It's going to be tough, but I definitely think that you should. I don't know if you can really kick a team off from being a division champion, but I don't necessarily think you deserve a home game or the 4th seed.
I think it depends. I really think it depends on the winning record, because I hope at least one of the teams has like at least 7 wins. But do you really want, like, imagine if the Falcons win the division or something and they don't win another game,
right?
If they go into the playoffs like 5 and whatever. Do we really want to play off a division champion that's like has 5 wins or 6 wins?
Yeah, I was gonna say I think they have to play each other. I think the Saints or some of these teams have to play each other, because like the Bucks could get in and they'd have to win. They have to play, I think, the Falcons, and
yeah, they have to play again. So like, but do we really want a 5 or 6 win team in the playoffs?
The answer is probably not. No. All right. Last thing on the whole Falcons and getting into it, I just think that there is room to be made about where you place a losing team on, a losing team that has that wins the division.
Yeah, the playoff rules really should change, but we really have. This is like the first time, I think, in recent history that we've had that we'll have like a back-to-back like possible team with a losing record going into the playoffs. Now, granted, if the Falcons or the Saints or the Bucks get a winning record and get into the winning record and win the division, then there's no problem here.
Right. So we'll move on. Rams destroyed the Cardinals 37-14. It was a close game in the first quarter, and that's about it.
The Rams are back to 4. At least against one of the worst teams in the league.
Right. I was gonna say Kieran. Right, Kieran. Yeah. Or I wanted to make sure.
Williams, yeah.
Okay, I wanted to make sure it was Kieran because I'm watching the show with a Kieran, so I wasn't sure if it was Kieran. Anyways, Kieran Williams played great. Higbee got a couple of touchdowns. This team could actually make the playoffs, so we'll stay tuned on that one.
Right.
The Chiefs Chiefs beat the Raiders. The first half, the Raiders beat the first quarter. The Raiders were beating the Chiefs. It looked really bad, and then it went to hell for the Raiders.
Yep. I mean, thought the Raiders were going to do good, and then hopefully they'll get a better. Hopefully I don't know if Antonio Pierce will keep his job, but hopefully the Raiders will find a way to figure themselves out.
Right. But yeah, nothing really here to say. Chiefs at least found the second half offense
for the first time within like 3 games.
Right? They didn't have it against the Dolphins, the Broncos, and the Eagles. Yeah. So, but yeah, we'll see. Like I know a lot of people on the medias and stuff are saying like it's still the Chiefs, and I'm just like the AFC just looks so, I want to say, wonky. Like it really is anybody's game. Whoever's defense is playing the best that day, I think is going to win. And I think that's going to just be how it is the rest of the season. Like it should definitely be defense versus defense in the Super Bowl. Be it Ravens, Eagles, 49ers, Chiefs, Cowboys, Jaguars,
all these
Broncos or Dolphins, we hope.
Right? Like all these teams that are doing good are just have great defenses to them. Like the Chiefs are better on defense than their offense. Like the defense is going to get you further.
Yeah. Speaking of defense, we had the Broncos versus the Browns, and the Broncos are on a 5-game win streak now. I'm shocked. I remember there are times that we will have recorded history in this podcast that I will be saying Caleb Williams as the Broncos quarterback for next season. I really thought that was a possibility. Now I have the possibility of making the playoffs. We have a winning record. Sean Payton's coaching is great. I cannot believe it.
Didn't they say one season he had he started 1-something and turned it around? So
yeah, I forget who said that. I think that was that Chase Daniels or something I think it was.
It might have been
somebody on NFL Network. I think it was Chase Daniels. But that was, I can't believe it. I really can't. But this is the second time he's done something like this. Even if it was just a losing record, even if 1-4 or something like that. In fact, he's done this again. Astounding. I'm so happy he's our head coach.
Right, and with teams you've beaten, legitimately tell me who's stopping you.
I mean, the Texans might, but that's going to be a good game next week because they at least have a quarterback.
Right, you have the potential to beat anyone. Yeah, I mean, you beat the Chiefs, you beat the Browns defense, beat the Bills. You've beat these good teams. You can legitimately, I think, beat anyone.
We really could, and I think the Texans and the Lions are the 2 toughest teams we have left on the schedule. And realistically, I think it's the Texans that is the toughest because they have a defense.
Lions need to remember they have one of those.
Yes, they do. But the Broncos, Russ was running. I was really impressed. Defense can, if they can keep getting takeaways the takeaways that they're doing, that's just so amazing in the short amount of time. But honestly, Sean Payton's just doing the run game. I'm happy. I playoffs still feel like a while away. I would just be, I know it's just me, but I'd be happy with a winning record because we haven't had that in a long time. And I know fans want to see the playoffs, but it's going to be one of those ones where it's going to be so close. So, gotta hope the Colts lose next week. Browns lose, Steelers, we gotta stay within, but I'll give it the Browns, I was a little worried they were coming together, and then but we took care of their defense. I'm really shocked. I remember the Colts versus the Browns, and that was a 38-39 game.
Yeah.
So the fact that we were it wasn't back and forth. But yeah, the Broncos. I was expecting that there could have been a shootout, just like the Browns and the Colts had. So the fact that we didn't get a shootout really shows how good the Broncos defense has become, especially since the Dolphins game. So just really enjoyed that, and this is gonna be weird. I'm just gonna go. We fell asleep during the. I'm saving the best game, or at least one of the better games for last, because we fell asleep during the Ravens Chargers. That game was boring. Please stop putting the Chargers on. They are not exciting to watch.
Not with Kellen Moore and Brandon Staley, and I think it might be Kellen Moore more.
Right? Justin Herbert should be so much better.
Deserves better.
I know he's a rival, and they have the whole Tua versus Justin thing.
We both have issues. We both should have issues with Justin Justin Herbert, but we know he's a good quarterback, and he's not the problem here.
Yeah. So like there's a lot of problems with the Chargers. They're charging.
Mhm.
They always do this. They always have so much talent and then they blow it. So that being said, we fell asleep during the game. It was boring. Good job, to the Ravens. We'll see how you do more because I'm not sure. It's like I'm truly wondering how much Mark Andrews not being there is going to be missed.
Zay Flowers looked good.
He did. He's looked fantastic. He's honestly probably like the fourth or fifth best rookie. You got C.J. Stroud, Sam Laporta, and Jordan Addison that I think all have been better than him this year. But Zay Flowers is like number 4, I think, maybe 5 if I'm forgetting anybody.
If A-Chan didn't get hurt.
But he did.
And he still has more running yards than some other running backs on teams. Fantasy football, he's still like in the 20s of running backs.
Oh, you know what? He might be 5. He might be 5 because I think Tank Dell is a rookie.
Tank Dell is a rookie.
So I have to put Tank Dell up.
You just mean like offensive rookies. No, I mean, there's not many defensive
rookies. I was
going to
say, like, I love and respect defense, but nobody's coming to my mind.
Jalen Carter's the only one who comes to mind.
Yeah, and I'd put him in the top 10 along with Witherspoon from the Seahawks, but no, I'd have to put. I think I have to put those guys ahead.
Still, Zay Flowers, and I loved his touchdown celebration. It's about Flowers, with his last name. How hard was that to get? It's like Jalen waddling
like a penguin. Yeah, I get it. It's fine. I think we were asleep. I think the media made it too big of a deal of it. I think Lamar got it. Maybe he didn't it wasn't like his cup of tea, but it was fine. Like Zay, do your thing.
Yeah, Zay be Zay.
And then the other bad game of the week was the Bears winning with 4 field goals against
the Vikings.
The Vikings. Minnesota, we have a problem. I don't want to make it any worse, but that's probably the only astronaut type reference we're gonna make. I don't know. Like I expected more from Josh Dobbs.
You shouldn't have lost to the Bears like that. With how the Bears have been, I think the Bears are better than they were last season now.
Yeah.
But still, it's crazy that you lose to the Bears and you scored a touchdown and they didn't.
Yeah, well, he turned it over 4 times. Four times. 8 points. The 8 points that cost me my fantasy game. If you could have turned one of those into a touchdown, I win.
Pretty much.
Or 2 of them, something but anyways.
Yeah. Well, hopefully with Justin Jefferson back, hopefully they'll be better, but I don't know if Josh Dobbs is...
I don't even know if he's starting.
Yeah, I don't know if Josh Dobbs is the answer here. I'm Darren Hall back better? Or...
He might. We'll see what happens.
He is an inconsistent quarterback. He has very high highs and very low lows right now.
Mm-hmm. I don't really know if there's much else to say. I wish I don't. Well, we'll definitely talk more about it about Justin Fields in another podcast. I don't know if he's the answer, but that's a question for another time. All right, now let's finish up with Buffalo and Philly because that was a wild game. I know it's getting wild. When I was watching the end of the Broncos games, I was just I'm like, what's gonna happen? I needed to watch my Broncos win first, but they that was definitely a shootout.
One related thing about this game that I like, because it went into overtime, it kind of just went straight into Sunday Night Football. I think we need one late game or something, a game that starts at 2:00 and at 5.
1:45 maybe.
Yeah, 1:45, something that goes closer, so there's less of a break between the afternoon games and the late game. I want it to go straight into each other seamlessly. It was nice, even though we fell asleep during the night game, but it was nice to just go into it.
Right. Well, let's get into the game a little bit. Philly won 37-34. It went into overtime. Those missed opportunities, those missed points from Buffalo is what hurt them again. I think they missed points against the Broncos. It's just, and it's Tyler Bass not been the same this year. I mean, nor has really anybody on Buffalo. So
they're missing Matt Milano and I think the other injuries they have, but. like, where was the communicate? I think it was like a miscommunication, but why, like, Gabe Davis should have turned right, like, at the end there or something, and it would have been like they scored the touchdown. Like, he turned left,
Yeah,
and
something like that.
like
That would have ended it. Like, that would have been
like, why did you have that communication issue? You should know, like, how the other's thinking by now.
I'm not even gonna lie. I think I would have just been like, nope. Like let's go for fourth down. Like let's get the touchdown because
Yeah, Josh Allen is like 0 and has no wins in overtime games
since they changed the rule. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
I don't think he has overtime wins in general.
I don't know for sure, but he won. They were winning that game. They were up like at least 10 points, like maybe more. I don't know if they were up by 17, but they were doing so well for a while there. I really thought Buffalo had them, and I mean, I was kind of rooting for Philly because of the whole playoff spot. So, but like Buffalo, I would have liked to have seen one just to say, hey, we're not
right. Like, I mean, I was happy Philly won because in the same division. So, but still, like, Buffalo should have won this game.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, but you know, yeah. Well, as soon as Jalen Hurts was running, I'm just like, oh, he's got a touchdown at the end there.
Right.
That kick, that was a great. I wasn't sure he made it. It was so rainy and stuff. Jake Elliott, but they made it to overtime.
I think the rain affected the game, but with those scores, not really.
Yeah, I remember some of the ice games where it's like 10-9 or something like
there
that.
Was
10-6.
There was like a game in the 2000s that was rainy as heck, and it was like the Steelers and the Dolphins, and it ended, I think, 3-0. So I'm like, so it doesn't seem like the rain affected this game.
Right? It was just that was an intense battle. So it was fun.
Should have been the Sunday night game.
Definitely should have been the Sunday night game. We'll see what happens this week because Philly plays 49ers. We'll talk more about that in another podcast. But I just want to say like that for trying to watch 4 different games because I wanted to watch my Broncos. And I was watching the Red Zone and stuff like. And we didn't even get that for the primary like because we live in Vegas. We had to watch it's like they only had the Raiders and the Chiefs, and I'm just like that probably like it was just like that was not as good of a game. I mean, it wasn't as bad as the Rams and the Cardinals, but man, that was like definitely the game to watch was the Bills and the Eagles. So, so with that being said, I think that finishes us off for week 12 in the NFL.
Yep.
We'll have another podcast here soon, talking more football, maybe some basketball stuff too. Will see. And for now, that's all we got. So please like, share, subscribe, give us some feedback, and we will see you here next time. Thanks for joining us, and bye.